This is Sneaker Gears. My name is Levi and welcome to another episode of Power Gears, where today I'm proud to bring you a full review and comparison on the Reebok Power Lifter. Alright, so the Reebok Power Lifter has been in the making for a few years now. Mark Bell with the Powercast, Mark Smelly Bell, he's been working on this shoe along with quite a few world-class power lifters, strongmen, to really hone this shoe down and make it probably the best lifting shoe ever made. Now, that is a bold statement, but at the same time, it doesn't mean it's better in every way over every shoe. But honestly, for heavy lifting, especially for either strongman events or powerlifting events, you can't really make a better shoe. Now, this shoe is based on the old Reebok CrossFit TR or Trainer TR, Strength TR, whatever it's called, Lifter TR. Essentially, they made some minor tweaks here and there that make it a little bit better. If you were fortunate enough to get one of those shoes, you're not losing out too much, but the thing is, they haven't sold that in a few years. It was generally kind of an ugly shoe, really ugly colorways, and if you watch my channel, you'll notice I always preach performance over just looks, but at the same time, you do want to look good, and a lot of lifters didn't want that CrossFit logo, so they did change the logo. That was one of the big updates they did, as well as they did add their flex weave material on the sides, giving it a little bit more strength and structure as far as how it locks you down. Now, what makes a shoe so good at lifting? There's comparisons out there on your standard lifting shoe, which I think for a lot of lifters is still like a Chuck Taylor, a Vans, some kind of relatively flat, solid sole that's not gonna prohibit any of that power going from the ground through your lift. Now, the biggest difference between these two, and I'll make it a quick comparison, is really, you can even just tell from the sole here, it is not completely flat. Not a huge difference, but when you have something that is 100% flat, you definitely feel it. Same thing, the structure on this. This is a Chuck Taylor. You can kind of see there's not much to it. So, and again, this is a shoe from, oh God, 50s, 60s. I mean, this is a really old shoe. And as far as the design, this, without touching it, this is holding up. The structure on the shoe, how it locks you down, it literally feels like your foot is bolted to the floor. So this is one of the few shoes that is way better than if you were just to lift with barefoot. And for most shoes nowadays, if you are using a running shoe or if you're using some kind of shoe that's not meant for training, you're losing a lot of that power delivery. This, you're not losing anything. A big difference between this and the Chuck Taylor, of course, is also just the midsole and how it transfers that power. This uses kind of a thick rubber cup sole. This is using pretty much a very thin piece, probably half of what that midsole is, of rubber. So it's just really your foot and this rubber giving you complete traction and lockdown on the floor. That's a big difference. They did add structure to the Chuck Taylor too. As you can see how it's kind of standing up there still, but they did change this to a lunar cushioning, which again, you're going to lose a little bit of power delivery, especially compared to something like this. Now, the other aspect that this holds up really well is how low to the ground this feels. I would say probably the second best absolute lifting shoes out there, whether 2, 3, however you want to put it, outside of your Chuck Taylors, outside of something like a Vans skateboarding shoe, is going to be your Nano 7 and or your Nano 6. So the reason I really love the Nano 7, this thing was built really just for lifting. This uses a very, very solid midsole. There is almost no flex, and the biggest difference between these two is really going to be that lockdown. This literally makes you feel almost like you're locked into the floor, so if you're doing either a heavy squat, heavy deadlift, you have complete confidence. This does a very good job, but not to this point, as well as the midsole height. Because you're so close to the ground on this, again, you're not losing any power delivery. You are a little bit higher off the ground on this. And again, it's so solid and it's such a great power delivery. These are going to be very close. Now, this was a limited run sell. I've heard there's something on like 200 pairs out there. So I'm really hoping Reebok can come to the market with this, whether it's different colors or just give other lifters out there the opportunity. I am a lifter. I'm in no way at the level on some of these folks I wish had these that can put these through the grind. If you can't get this, the Nano 7 is a very close replica. Now, it is a low top versus a high. I know that affects some folks. This is not giving me that kind of locked into the floor kind of feel, even though it is a very good fit. And as far as lifting, you are getting that very thick, dense, solid midsole versus feeling like there's nothing between your foot and you're just locked into the ground. So different feeling, but very close. The second, I would say, is probably going to be that Nano 6. This is just going to be a good all-around that's also really good for lifting. These are somewhat available, but not nearly as available as your Nano 7 and not at the price point. Now, talking about price, this was $150. When this initially came out, I believe it was about $120 or even $100, I could say, and that was with the canvas material, not the Flex Weave upper, and that was for the original colorways when they came out. It probably should be closer to that price, to be honest, but obviously this being a limited run, I can definitely see, obviously they wanted to make sure it was worthwhile. Something like the Nano 7, I've seen as cheap as $50, usually anywhere from 50 to 80, so you can definitely get a really good deal. And same thing, your Chuck Taylors are out there for about 40, 50, but this is an absolutely phenomenal lifting shoe. Reebok, you really do need to come out with this for lifters all around the world. If you have not had the opportunity to lift in these, I was pleasantly surprised, obviously, especially in deadlifts, especially in just any heavy lifting. You feel so planted. Now, this is specific to lifting, similar to, you know, any kind of, you know, squatting shoe with a high lift. It's meant for lifting. You're not going on runs for this. You're not doing any kind of CrossFit. This is just for lifting. So this is very specific, just kind of like a lift shoe is, a lifted shoe. But at the same time, if that's what you're doing, this is going to last a long time. You're essentially putting on in the gym. I would recommend taking it off before you leave to the gym, and it's going to last you a long time. So it's worth whatever price they put out there. That Flex Weave gives a lot of structure, a lot of strength to it. I don't believe they put it there for breathability in this application, but just the build quality on this, as far as some close-ups, you have a really hard rubber toe. You have kind of a breathable canvas upper tongue right there. And overall, you have a very thickly padded all the way around the shoe, where the lockdown and the fit is really nice. They do run big. If they do come out with one, I was able to go with my true size 12. You got plenty of room in the toe box. And also a big thing, and I'm concerned with lifting, is I want my power delivery to go through my heel. I don't want my toes lifting. This really locks you down. There's no movement. When your toes try to go up even a little bit, it really pulls you down and you feel it. So that's kind of my last 2 cents on what makes this such an amazing shoe. Again, if you have any contacts with Reebok, email them, contact them. Tal Short out there on Instagram. Come out with these guys. It's worthwhile. I really think people will buy it. Price point, obviously, I think should be a little bit lower on this guy, but for this limited run, I definitely understand it, and to me, it was definitely worth it. Guys, this is Levi with Sneaker Gears. This is another Power Gears update. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help out. If you guys want to see any sneakers you want me to review, as always, I really appreciate it. You know, I'll come at you soon.